All right. Let me get this echo off. Shoot. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. You're tuned in to Amateur Radio Roundtable. This is a show about ham radio, shortwave electronics, and a few other things every now and then gets on our into our topics here. We try to have fun on here. We'd love to have, some input from our people in our chat room here. Be part of the show. Talk to us. Hey, if you're watching tonight on YouTube, click that subscribe button for us. Click that subscribe button and hit that notify bell and hit the like. It all helps us out. I'm going to give you a little hint. There's a subscribe button. Should be right down here somewhere. You know, I watch this guy in England. I watch all his videos, and he calls it the subscribe button. Subscribe button. I don't know. So hit that subscribe button, and we'd really appreciate it there. Hey, join our Facebook group. We've got about 14,000 members in our Facebook group. It's called W5KUB. Just do a quick search for W5KUB in Facebook, and you'll find our group. We'll approve you immediately there. If you're out there listening, we're also on shortwave, WBCQ shortwave, very famous international shortwave station up in Monticello, Maine, and we're on 7490 kilohertz. But if you're listening on shortwave, our show is rebroadcast on Thursday afternoons between 5 and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And so our video show is on Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. So feel free to join us there. We have our own chat room where you can chat with us. Tonight we are actually simulcasting on Twitch TV, Twitter, and YouTube. We were set up also to come up on Facebook, but Facebook is real picky. Facebook is very difficult to get the stream started with them, and so we're just going to leave the Facebook out tonight. So that's where we are: Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Hey, send us an email if you're listening out there. Send us an email to Tom at W5KUB.com. Tom at W5KUB.com. If you're out there listening on the shortwave, I'd love to hear from you. Occasionally I hear from you guys. Let us know where you are and how you're hearing the station. And also, if you're just out there listening on one of the podcasts, we are on nearly every podcast carrier out there. If you're listening on one of the podcasts, also send us an email, Tom at W5KUB, and tell us how you use a podcast. Do you have an earphone in where the boss can't hear you and you're at work, you're driving across the country? Tell us how you're using our podcast. I just saw some statistics the other day. We've downloaded about 100,000 downloads on our audio podcast now. So we got some people out there listening for sure. Let's see. Man, Glenn is not in here yet. Glenn is rebooting his Windows 3 machine, and maybe he'll be on here in a little while. We've got Brett with us tonight. Let me bring Brett in here on a split screen. There's Brett with us tonight, as usual. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. And let's see. Hey, tonight I want to talk about. Guess who that is? Guess who that is?
Finally.
Let's see. Let's see if he comes in now. I think Glenn may be there. Come on, Glenn. Glenn, where are you? He's coming in. Fix to come in. There he is. All right, Glenn.
Yeah.
13 minutes late. That will be 1,300 demerits tonight.
Oh, is that all?
That's going to be hard to work off. And scoot a little over to your right.
I was just going to say, take that off my account.
Scoot over a little bit to your right. You're not in the camera. There you go. That's much better. Okay. Take it off your account. You don't have an account. You're in a hole right now, man.
Oh.
Let me look. let me look. Glenn. Ben, you got over 1 million demerits.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, let me scoot over a little bit so I can get centered. Okay.
Yeah, let me figure this out here.
Yeah, you need to go to your right a little bit. There you go. Yeah, I would turn the camera, but the cameraman's quite a ways back there.
There we go.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. Glad you made it. That's not.
Yeah, I had to
that's not your new
reboot the
Windows 11
system.
machine, is it?
No, it's behind me. It's almost ready.
Am I gonna
But
have to come over and put that
not-
thing together for you?
If you can navigate this place, more power to you.
Well, okay.
We are talking 125 boxes in total, plus furniture.
I feel sorry for you.
And it's still being put together, and it's coming from a 5-bedroom house to a 3. And that's the problem.
Well, good luck. That's all I can say. Hey, Brett, what are you doing, man?
We're getting there.
Brett, how you been doing?
I've been doing pretty well. I put up my FT8 backdrop behind me tonight because that's about the only thing that's been working with all the solar activity. We've been getting auroras way down at way down at lower latitudes, and it's but unfortunately it's wreaking havoc with HF. So mostly now when I'm on the air, I am working FT8 because it's about the only thing I can do. Otherwise, I've been working on my projects. It's fall here, so I'm working on getting my antennas ready for winter. And I've been to a lot of ham events lately. After Huntsville, I went to the Denver Radio Club hamfest and Swap Fest in Adams County, Colorado, and I've got some video from that. That was a blast, and it was just a tremendously good flea market. And then they had a little ham fest called the High Plains Roundup, which is a camp out up in Wyoming among the beautiful rocks and boulders and by a big reservoir, and that was tremendous fun too. So I've been having a lot of fun doing things like that.
Well, cool. We'll talk about that in a little while. I think you've got some pictures, right?
Oh, I've got some video, especially from the Denver swap. I've got
Okay.
the fascinating thing there.
Yeah, we'll get around to that in a little while. Hey, a couple of things I wanted to talk about tonight, and we'll get into in a little while. Hey, I'm planning a trip here soon. Maybe go out of the country. I don't know. But I thought I want to get my remote base working again. But you know what? I really didn't want the HF remote base working. I typically am on 220 all the time. I don't really get on 2 meters or 440. We've got a great group of a few guys here on 220. So I built up a very simple remote base for 2 meters. For 220. And I'm going to talk a little about that tonight, how simple it is to get you a remote base on the air. If you're traveling somewhere, you can use your phone and get on that remote base and make contacts with your locals there. And we'll talk a little about that in a little while. I think it's a pretty neat little deal there. Let's see. We were going to try to have Carlos on KD9OLN. Carlos is the parachute mobile guy. I don't know, you guys probably know of Carlos. He jumps out of airplanes at about 14,000 feet, and he makes contacts while he's coming down. And I talked to Carlos in Shelby a couple weeks ago, Shelby Hamfest, and Carlos reminded me I was his very first contact on HF. I didn't remember that, but I was Carlos's first contact. So Carlos has got a cold. He can't talk right now, probably from jumping out where it's real cold up here. But he will be on the show here pretty soon. Riley Hollingsworth, I told you guys Riley is joining us. He wants to join us. I don't know if he gets busy, but he says he wants to be on, and I'm trying to get him on here, but sometimes I don't hear from him. So that's Riley Hollingsworth. Hopefully he can become a regular on here. And you guys may not know Riley. He was the He's retired from the FCC. He was the chief. He was the special counsel was his title, special counsel to the FCC for enforcement. So Riley would be good. Riley is now the, I don't know what his title is, head honcho, I guess. He's the head honcho of the ARRL, Volunteer Monitoring Service. That's what he's doing right now. So hopefully Riley will start coming on here soon with us. Martin wants to be on the show with us. Martin, of course, is the founder of MFJ, but he's really busy right now trying to close his company, and Martin says he'll be joining us when he can. So that's all coming up, guys. And let's see. Hey, I want to talk about something. I don't know if Glenn has seen this or not, but Glenn, have you seen the news where 1,000 beepers, 1,000 pagers exploded in Lebanon? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw that.
You know, it appears they killed maybe, what I'm seeing, it killed maybe 8 people. And there were thousands, I think, that went to the hospital. Thousands.
Yeah.
But all I've been able to find, they say that someone hacked into the server, and somehow they overloaded all the pagers, and they overheated. I don't believe that, not one bit.
No, not for a second.
I don't see how you can overload a pager. Plus,
no.
Let me tell you, I mean, I've got some pictures here of some of the explosions. I'm talking where they had a pager on top of a dresser, 1-inch thick wood. It blew a 5-inch hole through that piece of wood. Now, Brett has blown up LiPo batteries. I had one blow up here a couple years ago in the shack. They give off, first of all, they start giving off a lot of heat. And then they give off a lot of, toxic gases, man. I mean, my room was filled with toxic gas. Couldn't even hardly come in here and breathe, open a window. And then typically, I haven't really seen one explode that much. I've seen them turn more like into a volcano, where you just got a steady stream of, it looks like not a Roman candle, but a sparkler or something, where it's just spewing out, But these all blew up at the same time, man. And I was looking at some videos of the hospitals. They're bringing people in the hospitals. It looks like it's injured several thousand people.
Yeah.
And killed about 8. And I think it's more to the story than just hacking into the server. I don't.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think they figured out the code it took to turn them all on, or send, trigger them all.
Yeah.
But I'm going to agree with what somebody in the chat room said, is that they were already loaded with explosives, and they were prepared to be triggered.
Yes.
And that Israel figured out the triggering code, frequencies, whatever, and triggered them for them.
I think about back in the early days before the cell phones. We all carried pagers and stuff. I'm thinking about the pager. I mean, this is probably
you can't overload a pager.
This
How
is probably
can you
typical
overload?
size. That's probably typical size of a pager back then.
Right.
And you know what? That thing
You
is full of
can't
parts.
overload.
That thing is full of parts.
Yeah, it's full of parts, but what are you going to hit it with to make it overload?
Well,
These things are designed for safety.
But that's awful small, and it's full of parts. Where are you going to put the explosive?
I'm sure they found a way.
Unless it's...
they just disguise it as a capacitor. You can do it. And, yeah, it could have been the Israelis. It could have been the Iranians. It could have been some other rival group.
Yeah.
Nobody's claiming credit for this, so no one knows who intercepted the shipment of pagers and made them all into explosive devices.
Yeah, well,
That's true.
I think being shaped into like a capacitor. I mean, I'm talking. I think they needed more than that to blow these explosions I'm seeing on Twitter. There's some powerful explosions, man. Probably some kind of plastic stuff. Maybe the whole case is plastic explosive. I don't know, man.
An M80 can do a lot of damage, and that's not even high explosives like you can get if you really want to make a compact bomb. So who knows?
Yeah, man. But to get
and here's the thing: how do you know that was a real pager board inside and not just a receiver?
Well, but the thing was actually functioning, I'm sure, as a pager.
How do you know?
Well, they've been using them.
How do you know? No, they've been wearing them.
Yeah. Well, pagers are receivers. There are very few two-way pagers. Most of them can't transmit.
Yeah.
They're just stuff.
Yeah.
So they are receivers. But, you can, there's room in the case. You don't need them to be that big in order to work. So, yeah, there's room in the case to make some mischief. I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not either. But I'm going to say they were not standard pagers. They were modified.
Well, definitely something was.
No, they didn't overload them or do whatever to a normal pager. Like you said, a LiPo battery, setting off 1,000 LiPo batteries simultaneously by sending out overloading pages. Come on.
I'm gonna try to not do a copyright deal here. Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can't. See if I can't show you guys. Yeah, this is one on top of a dresser there. You can see the mirror is broken. Look, there's a drawer. I guess it's burning it. Let's see. Let's see. Look at that hole. Look at that hole it blew in the top of this dresser right there.
Right. And again, when LiPo batteries go up, they don't necessarily explode, and you're asking for 1,000 simultaneous explosions of the same style, same type, without giving you the heat and outgassing warnings of a typical LiPo.
Well, it showed many people actually had those pagers in their pockets. That's where they carried them. So most of the damage done to them is below the belt. I'll just put it that way.
Yes.
And they're all, man. I mean, there's some bad, some hurt people with that. I don't know if I got
exactly.
Let's see.
But again, you would feel that thing going off or outgassing or heating if it's in your pocket. So it was a very quick, instantaneous explosion on 1,000 devices. I cannot buy that as being a manufacturing defect.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, some of the articles reported that people felt the thing heating up and getting ready to blow. So some people were able to toss the thing away before they got hurt, but a lot of people were hurt.
And the fact that it seemed like they just exploded. They didn't just. I would have thought they would have felt them heating up first. There's a heating up period at first, and then there's a smoking period and all that stuff. Here's a video. Maybe I won't get copyrighted on it. We're going to see. Let's see. You have to watch. It goes off real close. As soon as I hit it here, it's going to go off. Let's see. I don't know if you saw that or not. I'll run it again. Man. So let's talk safety here. We're ham radio operators. We're electronic enthusiasts. Guys, just be careful with lithium batteries, lithium ion, LiPo, whatever they're called. Be careful with
I don't think I've ever heard of a lithium exploding in that way, though.
Well, I don't know. What's in a pager now? Okay. What's in a pager now? Maybe it's not lithium. Maybe it's not a LiPo. Maybe it's something else.
Well, there actually were a couple of incidents of tablets, Galaxy tabs from Samsung, that suddenly got real hot and literally melted down in people's hands.
Right.
And those were shorted, and that was a result of shorting out a lithium-ion battery. It wasn't a LiPo, but it was a lithium-ion battery, one of those packet ones that goes inside a portable device.
Right.
Yeah.
But even there, people had a chance to notice that the thing was getting hot and smoking.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's the melting down. That was an explosion. That was more like a capacitor going off than anything else.
Well, I think it's more like a bomb going off, to tell you the truth.
Exactly. There was explosive in those things.
I know what you're talking about. Man, okay. Gee. Okay. Well, we'll find more out about it, I guess, as the time goes, All right. Hey, guys, everybody...
Somebody will take credit.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually.
I guess they will. Like you said, it may have been. I mean, these guys argue among themselves a lot of times, and they fight themselves. Who knows who did it?
Right. They figured out the other guy had these set up, and they figured out the trigger point. They hacked their server and triggered them.
Yeah.
Something of that nature.
Never know.
All right. Hey, guys, we'll be back in just a moment, so stand by here with us. Upgrade your station with one of ICOM's fabulous HF radios. With the IC7610, faint signals are no longer challenging for DXers or contesters. The high-performance RMDR can pick out the faintest signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. This is the SDR every ham wants. With ICOM's IC905 Mobile, VHF contesting is a breeze. This is an all-mode rig covering 5 bands with one radio. 2 meters, 70 centimeters, 1.2 gigs, 2.4 gigs, 5.6 gig, and with the optional CX10G transceiver, it will also cover 10 gigs. This radio features a large touchscreen with real-time, high-speed spectrum scope and waterfall display, easy D-Star settings, and a separate controller and RF module configuration to reduce signal loss. Explore the world of microwave with the IC905. For more information on ICOM radios or dealer locations, go to icomamerica.com/amateur. All right. Everybody always has a need for a remote base that works, and I want to talk a little about the remote base here, and then we're going to get into, Brett's got several hamfest that he's attended. We're going to look at that. I've got the remote base for my HF I set up using Ham Radio Deluxe, and we just connect into it from the phone or our laptop through TeamView, and we bring up Ham Radio Deluxe, and Ham Radio Deluxe matches the radios perfectly. All the knobs, everything here, everything functions, looks like a radio. But Ham Radio Deluxe doesn't have the audio, or at least it has not worked well. I think they're trying to make it work, but so we use Skype, and that's how we connect to our HF rig, and it uses the data cable to the HF rig, and it actually tunes the frequencies and all that to set your frequency and your band and so forth. I thought while I'm gone on a trip, I'd probably enjoy my 220 work better than HF, because I could keep up with and talk to my friends here locally on 220. Not much activity on that repeater, but we've got a small little group there, and hey, it's good to talk back here. And what's the weather like? And any riots in town? Is the town burning down? Have we had an earthquake, anything like that? It's good to know. So I started thinking, how is the easiest way to set up a 220 remote base? And I started thinking about it, and basically it's so much simpler than hooking up the HF rig for a remote base. And the reason is I'm just using one frequency. I set the 220 rig on the repeater frequency that I operate all the time, and just leave it there. So we don't have to worry about any data interfacing or trying to change frequencies or upper or lower sideband, anything like that. So I thought, hey, that's pretty simple. I don't have to use TeamView, or anything like that. I don't have to use Ham Radio Deluxe. All I need is just basically the audio back and forth, the audio. So I thought, okay, Skype is the best way to do that. Skype has some very clear and good audio. The problem is, now, what do I do at push to talk on the radio?
How about using Vox?
Well, my 220 radio does not have Vox built in. So, that's a great idea, Brett, Vox. So, I started building up this little board right here. This is going to be a Vox board, using Glenn used I think a 1458, an op amp, a comparator, and Glenn commented, but he's muted. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's part of my demerits.
Yeah. So it used a little comparator, a little op amp, and it was going to do good, but it was going to be pretty simple. Hey, I didn't have any level adjustments for transmit or receive, or easy. Didn't have any adjustments on there to set the time delay and things like that. And I started thinking, wait a minute. I've got a USB signal link here. A USB signal link. All that is a sound card.
Yes.
And it plugs into your computer, and it automatically picks up your speaker and your mic right there. And guess what? The signal link has Vox.
Yeah.
It has an output for Vox, push to talk, and it also has individual adjustments for levels, mic level, speaker level, delay. Perfect, man. So I just took me a Cat 5 cable, cut the end off about a couple feet long, stripped back the end, plugged it into the back of the signal link, and then I determined which wires were my mic input, which wires were my speaker, which ones were my ground and push to talk. And I put me 2 funnel plugs on there, and that's what I'm using. Plug it right into the radio. Now that 220 radio, the mic has it's like an RJ45 connector, and I thought, I could build me up a cable and plug it into there, but it seemed like the contacts were way up in there. I didn't like that. So what I did, plus I have years ago destroyed a radio because many of those radios have not only your mic and push to talk, but they have like plus 5 volts. They may have plus 5 volts on the second pin from the, maybe that's number 2 or maybe that's number 7. I don't know. Who knows?
It varies from brand to brand.
It varies, and I have shorted out that 5 volts before, and really messed up a little control head on a radio before. So I said, I don't want to do that. So what I did, I took my microphone, I took the back off, and very clearly in there's a board, and it's a plug. It's plugged on that board, and it says mic, push to talk, ground. Everything's labeled. So what I did, I drilled me a little hole in the back of the mic, and I put me a little 1/8 inch jack on the back of the mic. So now what I do, I take my signal link, and I've got a tip ring sleeve for my audio and my push to talk. I just plug it into the back of the mic, and I plug the other tip sleeve into the speaker. Now, one of the things on a lot of these radios, when you plug in the speaker, it's not tip and ground. They are isolated, and you may not want to ground one of your speaker lines because that might cause you to destroy something. Maybe not. So what I did, I have a bunch of little 600 ohm to 600 ohm, 1-to-1 little transformers, and I just put a transformer in line with the speaker jack to isolate my grounds. On one side, I've got push to talk and ground going through the transformer. On the other side, I just have, two leads off the transformer, and they go straight into the jack. And it works beautifully. What I do, I connect with my phone to the internet, and I just do a Skype call. You need to set up 2 different Skype accounts, but I do a Skype call. You can set it to auto answer. It auto answers, and I'm on the air. And
Cool.
if I talk in there, I can watch the Vox key up, and we transmit. And then if I stop talking, of course, I go into receive mode. And of course, on your phone, if you need to, you can mute your mic if you want to. If you want to just listen. Vox is a little dangerous. That you could get background noise and different things to key it, but it looked like it was working fairly well. So I'm using the Vox to key it up. It works really well. Now Don says use Echolink. I do have an Echolink account. I haven't used it in many years. I've got Echolink number. I could use Echolink, and you know what, Don? I think Echolink does have an output for push to talk. I could, but that would mean I would have to run Echolink on my phone, which I guess is okay. I've never really run Echolink on my telephone before. It was just real easy to use Skype. So Echolink might be a good choice there to also use for remote base. But it is so simple. Your PC, a signal link plugged into it, and that's all it takes right there. Run, and your Skype connection, and you've got it. Now,
That's very cool.
One of the other things I wanted to do, my 2-meter antenna is up in my attic, and it's just a homemade little ground plane, quarter wave ground plane. Sometimes I'm a little scratchy into the repeater, not very often, but sometimes I am. So I thought, okay, this is good. We're going to talk about this on the show next week. So I said, I need to fix that before I go on any trips. So I built me a 220 Yagi. Built me a 220 Yagi here. We're going to talk about the building of this next week on the show. But it's going to be real simple. It's a PVC pipe, and these are welding rods, aluminum welding rods, just stuck through the PVC pipe at the right distances and hot glued in. That's all it is. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a 6 element. I get good gain. In fact, I can put this on a little handy talkie down here in the shack, and I can aim this at the repeater. I can key the repeater up full quieting down in the shack with this Yagi, and by moving it, I can null the repeater out or bring the repeater in. The only thing on this antenna that I have to say, and I have to think of some kind of excuse. I used aluminum welding rods for all the elements except this element. This element is a clothes hanger element. So the first director is a clothes hanger, and all the others are aluminum welding rods. Now you might ask, what was the special function of this? And the special function of why I used the clothes hanger here was I ran out of aluminum welding rods. So we're going to talk about this next week and how it built it and how it works. I'm going to put it up in the attic, and we'll talk about that next week. It's got about, the page I built it from shows about 9 dB gain, so that's pretty good. And like I say, it down in the shack I can hear full quieting signal with it, where sometimes 30 feet up in the air I don't get a full quieting signal. Yeah. Okay. Paul's got a suggestion here. If you run Echolink server, be sure to set Windows sound to none. Okay. I haven't used Echolink in a long time. But that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think of it, Don. I was just using kind of what I had already over there, and I think that would work out too. Of course, Skype is free, and Echolink is free too.
Yeah, Mark is wondering if the hot melt glue comes out in the attic because of the heat.
I don't think so. I don't think so. The elements actually were staying in place without the glue, but I glued them pretty well. That glue is pretty hard. I don't think it's going to melt up there.
No, it's a higher temperature.
It gets hot up here. I know when I go up there to put it up, I won't be able to stay long. Let's see. Hot melt glue won't come out in the attic. It could. It could. Let's see. Wouldn't want any boops or beeps to go out over the radio. Well, I'm not going to have anything. If I'm out, I'm not going to have anything on.
Well, that's why you set the Windows sounds to none, is what he's saying. And hot glue melts at 250 degrees, so.
And it may be close to 250 up there. I mean, I've been up here before, and it gets pretty hot, man.
This summer, it was hot up in mine, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We'll talk about that next week. Let me just for everybody, just real quick, let me take 3 minutes and just show everybody. We'll just draw it out here on paper real quick, what I'm talking about here. So we're going to take our PC. We're on Skype. Or you could run Echolink. And then coming out of that, we go into a signal link. We go into a signal link, and from the signal link, here's the radio. We take our audio into there. There's our antenna. So, and then of course, we take our telephone over here, and this of course is connected. Our PC is connected to the internet, and we just take our phone. We just take our phone here, and we just connect into the internet, and that's how it works. Very simple, and maybe at first I was overthinking it. I thought for probably several days, what was I going to do to key it? How was I going to key this thing? A lot of your radios have box built in it. This one just didn't have it.
Now, you know something you can do here?
What's that?
Put a touch tone decoder on the far end, or on your home end.
Yeah.
And have it drive a switch that will let you switch between your HF rig and the VHF.
Well, you know what?
And then another touch tone maybe to trigger the auto tune.
I don't think I have
rig.
to do that. I've been thinking about that, Glenn. For instance, if I'm using Skype for my audio for HF, and also the same Skype on that same computer for audio for the VHF, I can do this. When I plug that signal link in, it becomes a what do you call it? A USB. It becomes a certain USB port. So I could go in and change my USB ports. If I change my USB port, or my sound card, if I change my sound card port to signal link USB, I would be going to VHF. If I change my sound card to XYZ USB, then it would go to my.
But how would you control that remotely?
Easy, because I would make a connection with TeamView.
Oh, okay.
And that would let me, make change. Because I would bring TeamView up so I could have control over my my ham radio deluxe. Anyway, that's it, guys. All right.
It occurs to me you might also try a transverter, and on one of your rigs that isn't normally 220. I don't know if they have one for the 9700. Someone should make one if they don't, because the 9700, the big gap in its capabilities is not being able to do 220.
Well, but and that's another thing I've thought about. I've got a TS2000 here, which is HF and VHF UHF. I don't think it. I don't know if it does 220 or not, but that TS2000, controlled by Ham Radio Deluxe, I could tune it up to 2 meters or 440. It might be some difficulty, all your splits and your tuning and all that stuff. I don't know. You almost have to keep it pretty simple for me. Windows Update, that's an interesting thing. Windows Update. Windows Update allows you to go in and turn off updates for like 30 days. I just went in and checked mine the other day when I was testing it. You can go in there and say allow updates to start on, and then it gives you a pull down, and it gives you about 30 days worth of dates, like September the 19th, October the 19th, and you can select it. So I have had problems where I was out of town, say in North Carolina, and we did a Windows update, and of course that just screws the PC up, as you know.
Yep. As an internet provider, I can tell you that about a week ago, Microsoft did a Windows update that turned off your internet access until you rebooted. And we got all sorts of support calls from people who were saying, your internet's broken. And I'm saying, no, the internet's fine. I can see your connection is good. Try rebooting your PC. And they would. And then they would go, now it's working. So yeah, Windows Update's dangerous.
So when I get ready to make a trip, what I'll do, I'll turn the updates off for the time period I'm gone. And then when I come back, turn it on, let them update, Yeah, I got a question, and maybe Brett, maybe you or Glenn, either one can answer me. You got what's called Wake Up on LAN, where if your computer, is it just asleep and you can wake it up through the LAN, or I don't guess you could, if it rebooted and wasn't all the way up. I mean, if it did a reboot, would that Wake Up on LAN do you any good?
Wake on LAN is usually something else. Wake on LAN is usually when your computer is acting as some kind of server, and it's sitting there waiting for packets to come in from a particular place, and when it'll go to sleep until it's needed. But I find those features to be really flaky. Sometimes the thing doesn't wake up when you want it to. Sometimes the software doesn't interface properly with the operating system. I just let the machine run.
Yep. Let me check the chat room here. Are y'all keeping up the chat room? Sometimes I don't have.
I am
distracted. Okay.
But Wake on LAN is predominantly it sends a magic sequence of packets into the Ethernet card to wake the computer up from, like Brett says, from a sleep. And I've never really had it to work very well either, so I don't even try. As far as Windows updates, if you're like me and run Windows 7, we don't have that problem.
Yeah.
Once a month, they still send you a malicious software removal tool.
Yes.
But I don't think it does much good.
I did something today, and I'll probably go to jail for it. No, I won't. I don't think so. I upgraded one of these laptops I use here. I think I put a solid state drive in it. And then, you start seeing that message in there, activate Windows, right? You've seen that? Where you're supposed to call Microsoft, and you get this guy in India, and you try to convince him to activate your Windows, and he says, no, you can't do that, and you got to go to, Anyway, I found a video online, how to activate your Windows. How to activate your Windows in 30 seconds, and it's a really neat description here. I saved it, little video, and you go to a company. You go to a website, and the first screen that pops up, it tells you about this, but it has a file to, or it has a command to copy. So you copy that command, and then you type in you got to go into your shell. So you type in shell, I guess, whatever I type. It brought the screen up, and then you just paste that command there, and there are numbers you can select 1 through like 15 on what you want to activate. Number 1 is activate Windows. Put a 1 in there, and bam, this little thing starts running, and in about 15 seconds, bam, your machine is activated in Windows.
Yeah, well, that's useful because my main machine is a laptop, and every now and then something breaks. The motherboard goes bad. The screen goes bad. I just take the hard drive out, and I take the RAM out, and I put them in a new chassis. Every time I do that, Windows complains. And I don't think Microsoft is too keen on activating Windows 7 anymore.
Oh, yeah. And so I had this happen to me several years ago. I had to send a guy in India, I had to send him a picture of the receipt where I bought the hard drive. And then he went ahead and activated it for me. But this is so simple. You know.
Yeah, that's
one little command there. You tell it to run. You got to do it you got to run in administrator. But put that 1 in there, and bam, you're activated in Windows.
Yeah. Don is wondering, will your remote program work on a Mac? And if I'm not mistaken, Skype will run on darn near anything.
Yeah, I'm sure Skype will run on anything. I'm positive it will. And depending on if you want to use TeamView to log into your PC and have control over everything, TeamView also has the software for Windows and Mac both. Now, TeamView is getting tough on people. Like Kathy uses it. She used it very randomly when she was in North Carolina, maybe to get back in her computer here in Memphis. But they said, well, no, you're a commercial user. You need to start paying. Well, heck. Well, anyway, so there's another one out there that looks just like TeamView. It's called AnyDesk, ANYDESK. And I've gone over to AnyDesk, and AnyDesk works the very same, and it's free. All right. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, Paul is saying didn't know Skype was still a thing. He's saying he thought Microsoft bought it and replaced it with Teams.
No, Skype's still out there. In fact, I had... we used to use Skype here on the show to bring, our guests and remotes in on our show here, but we use Zoom now, and I'm paying for Zoom so we can have, the extra number of people log in and so forth. But Skype worked for a while on for our show. So you need to, if you're going to use Skype, you're going to need to have Skype on your phone. And you're going to have to set you up a second account for Skype on your PC. Just use a different email address and set you up a different Skype. That's all. My problem here is I had 3 or 4 or 5 different Skype accounts, and it was getting so confusing here, and I haven't used them in so long, I forgot which was which. And I was pulling my hair out here trying to make it connect. I think I was calling myself, and I was doing all kinds of weird things, so finally got it worked out. All right. Okay, well, they asked Brett if he has he's heard of remote access called Rust Disk. Okay. All right, very good. Well, hey, Brett, let's talk about some of the hamfest and things that you've done there, and Just show us what you got there, man. Tell us how much fun you had. And you're muted. You're muted.
Okay, there we are. Okay, I was reaching for the share screen button, which I need you to enable.
Oh, yep. Let me do that. Let me think about that.
That's why my audio got off. There we are.
Wait a minute. I hadn't done it in so long, I almost forget how to do it. Video. Oh, there's a share. I think they've changed I think they've changed the Zoom screen. The button is not where it used to be. All right, share. Oh, wait a minute, that's me.
Yep.
Let me get off of that. Let me hit this. Share. Multiple. Well, it looks like you're already set up for share. Can you share?
No, it says host disabled participant screen sharing. So
Try that.
there we are. Now suddenly I can. Okay.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and let's go with it, man.
Okay, I'm going to share the VLC media player where I've got the video, and I'll play.
All right. I'm going to try. Let's see. I'm going to try to bring you in here. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you are. Okay, can you see me? Can you see my video? Okay.
I see it, but you know what? We're gonna have to give you some demerits again. Most people like video to be, the format, the wide format instead of the up down format. But
okay, this is what I got from my iPhone.
Yeah, you can't turn your iPhone sideways and make it.
Oh, I could try.
Take pictures. Widescreen. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. I think I can blow it up and get us a bigger picture here. Let's see. Okay, that should give us a bigger picture right there. All right.
There you go. Okay. So anyway, this is everybody waiting to get into the hamfest, paying their money and getting their raffle. They're all important raffle tickets. This hamfest didn't let you buy bricks of raffle tickets. Everybody got one each. So anyway, this is the Denver Radio Club in Denver, Colorado, at the Adams County Fairgrounds, and they got this huge pavilion, which from this picture looks looks as if they didn't fill it, but they had a vast flea market and all sorts of stuff. And I took a lot of video of what they had in the flea market, and so you can see some of this stuff. All sorts of cool things to point out. Old military radios.
R390, cool.
Yep.
I like those.
Yep. Lots of variacs, which are handy.
Yep. Looks like some type of antenna matcher, coupler.
An audio mixer. There was everything there. There's lots of antennas. So I took about 5 minutes worth of video just of the stuff in the flea market, so you can get an idea of what they had there. A lot of these were estates. Now there is something everybody needs. Little camp stove.
Oh.
I saw that HG10.
Yep. A lot of Heathkit stuff.
It's amazing.
There's a Flex 5000. I'm sorry, Glenn, what were you saying?
I would say it's amazing that there's still so much Heathkit stuff showing up at Hamfest.
It lasts.
Yeah.
So I went around the corner here, and one thing you're going to see as we get to the end of this table is the Baofeng box, a box of Baofengs. And there's an Ameritron amplifier. By the way, I know that Martin's shutting down, but I understand they just came out with one more version of their 1200 watt amp with new transistors. I'm interested in that. They didn't have any of them at the swap here, but I heard they came out with one more Ameritron amp. I hope someone buys at least the Ameritron portion of the company. So anyway, more goodies, oscilloscopes. More oscilloscopes. All sorts of adapters, and the fellow who sells these is on eBay, and he's rather popular there, providing adapters from anything to anything. Is Radio Dan W7RF. The mystery grab bag boxes. If you take a look in there, that was an old Atwater camp receiver.
Wow.
A lot of those really old receivers are starting to show up now, and they're great to refurbish.
Mm.
They're like furniture. And as I recall, on this table there was something really interesting. Wait, it's coming up.
Oh, the free stuff.
Well, there was a lot of free stuff there, but there was something even more interesting, and it's just coming into view right here. I'm going to pause the video. See what that was. I'm going to see if I can do that. See that this device with the tape here?
Yeah.
This is a Morse code receiver that they used in submarines, where it was actually a bipolar transmission. They could send a positive voltage or a negative voltage, so you could send dots as one polarity and dashes as the other polarity, and you got a little tape. You could send faster because a dash and a dot didn't take longer than a dot. So you could send Morse code considerably faster. And they had a double key, which kind of went by here in the video, so that you could send the dots and dashes with different switches. One for each polarity.
That's an interesting way to do it.
Yep, there you go. There is the receiver again. Dual key. So this was used apparently submarine cables. More Heathkit stuff. The old Western Union telegraph set for kids to learn how to be a telegraph operator.
Boy, that's a clean Heathkit right there.
Oh yeah.
The guy had those same radios at Huntsville. Buy one for $5 and get the second one free.
Yep.
If you lost your TV remote, you can find it at the Ham Swap. Lots of Drake gear.
Mm-hmm.
FTDX 10, that's a good rig. So you see, it got pretty. The hall wasn't full, but it got pretty crowded, and there were a lot of there was a lot of wheeling and dealing going on.
That's a nice building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Main pavilion at the Adams County Fairgrounds. So I spent a lot of time there. I spent I spent a fair amount of money, but I've got to say, you know, a lot of the best stuff was in the free boxes. I got a beautiful LCD monitor, bigger than the one that I'm currently running on my computer, and it was just free sitting there. The guy said, "Take it," and it worked.
Wow.
A couple of amplifiers like the one that I showed last time. So I spent the whole morning at the hamfest, and then when I was done, I went out for lunch since I was down in Denver, and I don't know if you could see that because it went by kind of quick, but I went to the Korean market and had this wonderful seafood noodle soup, which is called jampong, and that was a sort of a yummy lunch.
Did you say?
So there you go.
Did you say Korean?
Yeah, Korean. Actually, it's a Korean Japanese Chinese fusion dish, and it's a hot and spicy noodle soup with all kinds of seafood in it.
Well, I lived a year in Korea, but I never ate any of the kimchi.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, jampong sometimes has kimchi in it, but mainly it's it's hot broth with noodles and seafood, and it's not for if you don't like spicy food, you won't like it. But I found it to be really.
Do you
yummy.
know? Was it made with like the cat or was it dog? Do you know?
Maybe catfish.
Oh. Okay.
Or maybe dogfish.
I never saw a cat in Korea. Never. All right. Now okay. So, did you go to another place, or was that it?
Well, that was the one from Denver. There was also a swap meet, which I have some still photos of that I could upload. That at the High Plains Roundup, but mainly that was a schmoozathon. Everyone just sat around picnic tables and we all brought chili and we ate and we talked. So
I can handle that chili. Yeah, that'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So
Was it like a swap meet, like a tailgating or something? Is that what?
there was a tailgate swap, and there wasn't as much stuff there, but there were a couple of beautiful old tube radios. You know, a couple of old boat anchors like the NC-173 that I've got. There were a couple of more like that. They had a couple of old national tube rigs. They're here. I'll put up the background. So they didn't have this exact model, but they had another national that's sort of similar to it.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of good. You know, again, it was mostly a schmoozathon, and just hams from Wyoming getting together, getting ready for the W7Y event, which is also known as Come and Get Wyoming. That's going to be starting soon. A lot of people, since there aren't a lot of people in Wyoming, much less a lot of hams, people have trouble if they're trying to work all states or all bands or all grids. They have a lot of trouble working Wyoming. And so the purpose of that event is to help people out. And if you go to QRZ, you can see it. W7Y is the call that we're all using. We're inviting people to come and get Wyoming into their logs. So that's that event is just going to be starting up shortly.
Yeah, I'm curious what he means too, Tom.
Yeah, I am too. I don't
Mark
know what
is
he's
asking
talking
if
about,
you're
man.
giving me a hand.
I don't know, man.
I could use one. Let me tell you what. There is.
I'll cut your grass. $250.
I just mowed it today.
Okay.
No, I am slowly but surely digging myself out.
Your floor looks clearer than it was.
Yeah, the floor is getting clear. The painting's probably going to start towards the end of the week, and as you can see, the desk is getting clear. So the Windows 11 system is on the way.
Yeah, well, I
So
can't wait
we're
for you to
getting
do
there.
that, man. Can't wait.
Getting there. I mean, I was looking in the backyard for what trees I'm going to hang the off-center fed on, and go from there.
Yeah, you need to get that antenna up there soon. Get it up before winter.
Well, that's the plan. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with 150 boxes, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
I mean, the hardest part now is finding a place for all of this stuff. That's my big issue at this stage of the game. Getting there.
All right. See if you can figure out what Mark is saying in the chat room. I still don't get it. I don't know what he's talking about.
Maybe he's talking about the blinking lights in the corner. Those are the batteries for my lawnmower recharging, nothing more.
Refrigerator box. Chris says,
No, there was 125 medium and small packing boxes, plus all my furniture, the rigs, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And I just got all 125 unpacked and organized, and now it's just a matter of setting stuff up. Getting there, but there needs to be about 4 of me right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks, Brett, for sharing that with us. So, hey, guys, we're thinking about another Pico flight here soon. It may be maybe November, but I'm going to try something different. Some fellows have developed we fly the little 1.5 gram tracker that we've been building and flying, but some guys have built one using the Raspberry Pi now, and it's pretty easy to put together. In fact, I ordered 10 of the boards from JLC PCB. I sent them all the Gerber files and everything, so they're actually building up the boards, and they're going to put all the parts on there. And I should have those boards here in probably a week or two. And then from Adafruit, I had to order the Raspberry Pi board. And the Raspberry Pi boards piggyback on top of this board, and it matches perfectly, and you just solder the connections down it. And you got a tracker, and it's Glenn. It's on Raspberry Pi now. What we do, it's got a USB port on it, and we just.
Now, is it a Pi or a Pi Pico?
I'm sorry. It's a Raspberry Pi. It uses the RS4020 chip.
Okay, that's the Pi Pico.
Oh,
the
is
RP2040.
Okay, I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
but that's
the Raspberry Pi Pico. Technically, that's a high-powered Arduino.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
okay,
that's the Raspberry Pi Pico that you've been hearing me talk about so much that I love.
Well, maybe that high power will help, because I'm planning on putting jet engines and a lot of stuff on this new tracker we're going to build up here. So so the boards just sit on top of each other. They solder together. Everything matches up, and you got your tracker ready to go there. You drag a file, the software for it. You just drag it from your computer over to this thing. Shows up as a drive when you plug it in USB. It shows up as a drive. You just slide the file over, and then the drive goes away.
I was just going to say that they probably did it in Python, since the Pi Pico is natively Python.
It may be. You drag it over, it loads, and then the driver goes away. When the driver goes away, then it basically tells you you're programmed. And then online, there's a website online where we can actually program the call letters and the time slot.
That sounds Python based.
Yeah. So it's all online, and you unplug it, and So interested in trying that and see. It's got a lot of features in it. A lot of things that we took out of the one that I was building, like the watchdog timer. We disabled that. We flew probably a couple of years without the watchdog timer, meaning that if you had a trouble up there, it wasn't going to reset until the next day. But with
you didn't have a whole lot of memory to play with either.
Yeah, I assume this Raspberry Pico if that's what it is. I'm assuming it has a lot more memory and
Oh
power.
gosh, yes, it's
Yeah.
it's also got dual core 160 megahertz processors, lot of memory.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a much beefier machine.
So we're going to try that. And I don't know. I want to do something different. I may try. You know what? I may fly 2 trackers on the same balloon. I may fly may fly this new tracker on there with channels 2 and 4, time slots 2 and 4, and I may take the little tracker I build and also put it on there and have it transmit on time slot 6 and 8, and that way it will be transmitting twice every 10 minutes with two different trackers, and maybe do a little comparison and see how it works.
Yeah.
Might do that. So
Why don't you put a little chaff dispenser on it too, so they don't shoot them down so easy?
We could do that. I'll just cut up a bunch of tin foil and we'll put it in a little tube and
Well, we can put it in a pager and let it dangle the pager.
yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'd like to see a balloon go up. That's fun tracking those things.
Yeah.
So with all that extra computing power, what are you going to run? You can do more than Whisper. You might be able to do APRS.
You can do a lot.
No, it won't do APRS. But that's a totally different, protocol and everything. But what we do plot it using a Python script here on the ground. We do plot the Whisper information over to APRS via the internet, so you can see it. You can see it on the APRS map, and so that works pretty well for us.
See, and that is the one cool thing about the Pi Pico is if it's running Python, it can be dual threaded because it's got 2 processors.
Okay.
So you could be running everything simultaneously. So you could run both of your trackers that you're talking about or an APRS and Python tracker. You just need the hardware for the VHF instead of the HF.
I'm not real familiar with it. Basically, we'll fly it as we get it and program it pretty simply. But back to the little tracker that we build with our firmware, we're working on right now to make it dual band, where in time slots like 2 and 4, we'll transmit on 20 meters, and on time slots 6 and 8, we can transmit on 15 meters or 10 meters.
That'd be cool.
We can do that. And the 20-meter antenna is 34 feet long, but to have 10 meters on there, what we could do is just make a little trap. Take a little drinking straw and cut about a half inch off the straw and wind us a little bitty inductor on that straw and
There you go, yeah.
put it in line with that number 36 wire and trap it for 10 meters or 15 meters. So
And that Pi Pico is not very expensive. I bought mine several years ago at Micro Center in St. Louis for like $4 a piece.
yeah, this board, the Raspberry Pi board, whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's the Pi Pico.
From Adafruit, it's $4.
Yeah.
So order 10 of those. To match up the tracker that we're building. We'll sandwich them together, solder them together.
How much does it weigh?
What? What was that?
How much does it weigh?
When you take the Raspberry Pi board and the tracker board and put them together, they weigh 5.9 grams, which is not a lot.
Yeah, not a lot, no.
Now, equivalent to that, the one that we build and fly only weighs 1.5 grams.
Yeah, and that's because you don't
1.5
need that.
1.5 versus 5.5, so it's going to be 4 grams more.
But you don't need that daughter board on the new one.
Yeah, well, it takes 2 boards on a new one. It takes the
Yeah.
tracker board and the
Yeah, and the Pi Pico's a stock board, whereas you were putting the AT Mega directly on its own circuit board.
Yeah, right.
For yours. So I mean, yours were designed to be that light.
Plus, I would imagine, I haven't got it yet, but I'm looking at this, and I sent the Gerber files up to have them made, but I mean, it looks like, it's going to be probably a couple inches tall, maybe an inch or so wide. Again, they only weigh 5.5 grams when you sandwich them.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Compared to about a 1 inch by a half inch on the little one that we have been flying. So it's going to weigh about 4 to 5 grams more total, which is not bad. Total with solar, the complete solar panel system on it, ready to go. It comes in around 11.5 grams, which is very acceptable to fly. It will probably fly about 1,000 feet lower than the little one that we fly, just because of the weight difference. The spreadsheets show about 1,000 feet difference. But
now, see, if you'd go to my forums, you'd know all about this Pi Pico.
I'm not a software person. I can't write the code. I can't write the software. I don't understand.
Read my newest book. You'll understand this stuff.
I'll never learn. I'm too old to learn it, man.
Yeah, I know. You haven't. If you haven't learned to read by now, you won't be able to.
Yeah. Another thing we're doing on our little board, the output of the little board that we've been flying for years, it's a square wave, and it has, the circuit board has ground, and it's got one terminal for the antenna. So your dipole hooks to ground, and then the other leg hooks to the terminal. It hooks to the SI5351. So it's only got one output for the RF signal, but it works fine. It's a square wave.
Well, technically, it's a counterpoise kind of deal.
So we're doing up the software now. The SI5351 has two outputs. I think it's SO0, SO1.
It's actually three on most boards, but yeah.
It's got a couple outputs. So we're setting the second output up 180 degrees out of phase. So we're going to run a balanced antenna.
There you go.
We'll have a terminal for the right leg and the left leg, or the upper leg and the lower leg. So
you do that right, it'll double your power.
The what?
Yeah.
We don't know. We have not determined yet what that does to the power, because when one side's on, the other side's off. When the other side comes on, the other side's off. So does it really increase the power any, or is it the same?
Well, there's always one side on, so yeah, it should.
I mean, that's what we're trying to find out. So I'll be putting it on the spectrum
analyzer. Well, no, wait a minute. If it's inverted, they're both on.
No. Well,
at the same time.
One will have no output. It's a square wave.
Really?
One would have no output.
Yeah, but if you're using the other output, that it doesn't have to track. It can be 180 out of phase.
Well, it will be 180 out of phase. Or two. So think of a sine wave. Instead, though, take the sine wave and make it a square wave, basically. So instead of a square wave just on that one side going on and off, we're going to have square wave on, square wave off, and on the other side, square wave on, square wave off.
But if you had them set to go off at the same time, at the same frequency, they'd both be driving.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want them 180 degrees out of phase?
Why?
Because that's the other. Look at the sine wave on a dipole antenna. You got one positive curve and you got one negative curve. The sine wave. See what I'm talking about? See what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, but if you drive it negative and the other side positive, you are completing that sine wave.
I don't know what you mean driving it negative or positive. We would just set the output up to be two outputs, one 180 out of the other. So I don't know.
I don't know. It's going to be an interesting look on the scope.
Yeah. So we've got to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark. You say you can't get negative, but it depends on whether they're actually common ground or not.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, and since we don't really understand this, maybe we're not thinking it through good.
Oh, yeah.
Mark is saying this. Okay, so on a dipole, when let's say the left half is positive, and when it goes away, then the right half will go positive. I mean, you know how a sine wave, it's gonna.
Are we sure?
Well, think about the push-pull stage on the output of of an amplifier.
Yeah.
You don't have a negative voltage there, but because it's AC, and it comes through the transformer, you do get two poles. It's just offset. It's just offset relative to ground.
Right.
So you
Correct.
do get a full sine wave. It's just, it goes positive and negative relative to the middle, but it's all above ground.
So
Yeah.
we don't know.
This is going to be interesting to scope this out. 'cause
We
I
don't
think
know if
we're
that-
all.
We don't know if it doubles the power, if it increases the power, if the power is the same. I'm hoping that it increases power output. I'm thinking though the power is going to be the same.
You might actually set it up as a push-pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I'm viewing it. And like you say, ground is not ground. Ground is a reference point at 2.5 volts, for example.
Yeah. So we don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to love to see that on a scope and the power output. I think it's going to surprise us.
I don't think anybody has ever really sat down and proven what it really does.
Yeah. Well,
There's a
there's your challenge
Yeah.
for next year
Yeah.
is to show exactly how a dipole works and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be an interesting experiment, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
We'll
I'm
look at it
looking
on
forward to that.
scope and we'll put it on I'll put the spectrum analyzer across the antenna instead of ground into the single point. We'll go across the antenna and I don't know.
See what I mean? It's a big question mark. The good news is my lab is not very far away
Yeah.
from being completed as well. I've got a room that's designated for it. Everything is getting there. I would anticipate within 2 to 3 weeks I'll have everything together.
All right. Well, that'll be good.
So then I can start doing stuff.
Yeah. All right. Hey, let's see. Let me just throw this out there again. Everybody out there listening on WBCQ International Shortwave Station, we're glad you joined us tonight. And if you're listening, you're listening on WBCQ out in Monticello, Maine, right on the border of Canada and Maine. World famous.
Yep.
World famous WBCQ. I think
Fixing to be winter up that way.
They've got the largest shortwave antenna, I think, in North America now. That antenna is rotatable. I don't know how many tons it weighs. The only problem is we're not on that antenna. We're on some different antennas than that, and we're not near the power. That's that antenna there. I forget the gain. It's like 19 or 20 dB. They run 500,000 watts. So multiply that out, and it comes out to the gigawatts just about.
Few feet of coax and we can fix that.
Yeah, you can see that's the feed line. I think that's like 12-inch copper pipe going out. That's the feed line that's going out there. So we're on 7490, and that transmitter is probably only running. We're running low power, guys. We're running probably about 50,000 watts maybe, and I think we're on some wire antennas that they've got out there that they've used for many years that are on telephone poles. So we don't get heard like the 9330. Alan Wiener, the owner, came on our show here last year, and we talked about WBCQ, and we brought up our show on the 9330 transmitter and that antenna. And we were running low power. We were during the test phase. We were running low power, 100,000 watts. And we had people in Australia listening to the show down there. And that was with 100,000 watts. Can you imagine upping that to 500,000? Oh, man. And I would hate to
Like I say, a few feet of coax, we can fix this.
I'd hate to think about buying that tube. That tube cost, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, man. Woo! Gee.
Yeah,
Oh, well. All
one
right.
day.
All right. So if you're out there listening to WBCQ, we're glad to have you. You can join us on Tuesday nights on W5KUB.com every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. And we have our own chat room. You can join us there. All right, guys. We're about to shut this thing down for the night. Anybody got any last comments or things you want to talk about?
No, I'm good, other than I may be on the new computer by next week, I hope.
Well, I hope so. Maybe,
You'll see a different room angle next week,
Yeah.
because there's the monitors for them right there.
All right. Well, hey, you know, I was needing a monitor the other day. I looked in my closet. I had a brand new 21 or 23-inch monitor in the closet. Never been taken out of the box. Didn't even know it was in
Yeah.
there, man. So next week, I'm going to try to get us on Facebook, our Facebook group video. We didn't make it tonight. It didn't work. But we are simultaneously broadcasting on Twitter, Twitch TV, and YouTube. We'll add Facebook next week, hopefully. So we'll say good night to everybody, and glad you're with us tonight. And let's see. Let's just close this. Here, we'll close this with Glenn here. Yeah, we'll close it with Glenn.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
They're off in the other room sleeping.
Connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There's the answer code.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
All right, I've got to fix that where you guys on Zoom can hear it. When I play those video clips on the encoder here, you don't hear them the way the audio is set up. So I can move that to another PC here, and that way you'll start hearing that.
Yet
Okay.
another-
That was me. I had to
All right.
Yeah, I had to completely redo my house network so that the printers could work without a wire going across the floor. I've got my little bridge here.
Mhm.
So slowly but surely, this place is coming together.
Yep.
Just not fast enough.
I already did a network today.